overhead press is a great upper body pressing exercise for runners. It's important for a few key reasons. So number one, when we're pressing up overhead, we're keeping our chest nice and tall, which is gonna help you when you're running because it's gonna help you open your chest and maintain that nice tall posture. It's gonna let you breathe really, really efficiently, and just you're practicing that positioning in the gym. The other thing that you can really get out of the overhead press is you're getting a lot of work of the shoulders and triceps. And upper body is really crucial for runners because when we're running, we need to have a nice strong arm drive, especially if we're trying to run fast. Our arms help drive our legs. So if we can strengthen up the shoulders and the triceps, it's gonna help us have a super strong arm drive, which is gonna translate to more effective run. Let's take a look at how to do it. To set up for an overhead press, you don't have to have an adjustable bench. You can just do it seated on a chair or a stool or anything like that. However, if you have an adjustable bench, it's really helpful to have that feedback as to where your body is set up in space. So this bench that I've got, it's got a couple different levels, but what we wanna do is we wanna raise it up to 90 degrees. So you're gonna pull it all the way up. You'll make sure that it's locked in place. You don't want it to fall over if you lean back against it or anything like that, and you're ready to go. And so like I was saying, having that backrest in place lets me get set here and I can make sure that I'm in the right position. If you don't have anything, you could be leaning a bit forward, a bit backwards, and you don't really know where you are in space. So the backrest makes a big difference. Once you've done that, you can grab the weights that you're gonna use and you're ready to go. To do an overhead press, the first thing you're gonna do is set yourself up on the bench. What you wanna do is you wanna take your low back and you're gonna scoot yourself all the way back against that bench. So you wanna have good contact at the bottom here, and then you're gonna set your upper back on as well. So you're gonna have contact at the top, you're gonna try and have contact in the middle and contact at the bottom. So that backrest is giving you nice proprioceptive feedback, and you're gonna stay nice and upright. From here, after you grab your weights, you're gonna set your arms up and you're gonna begin kind of in like a field goal position. So your shoulders are at 90 and your elbows are at 90. From there, you're pressing up and overhead and all the way back down. Now there's a couple things to keep in mind here. So when I've got my weights, I wanna make sure that those elbows are all the way back. Sometimes you'll find if you don't quite have the mobility, you might kind of be somewhere out here. That's gonna be a little bit of a different exercise, and it tends to kind of keep you hunched forward a little bit more. So staying up nice and tall with that back flat in contact, and those elbows are gonna come all the way back. So you're moving in one plane. So if I turn directly sideways, everything is staying in one nice, smooth plane straight up overhead. So when I'm set up from here, I'm starting at that 90-90 position. I'm pressing up overhead and back down. When you go overhead, you don't need to bring those weights together or anything like that. You can keep them shoulder width ahead, shoulder width apart straight up ahead, and then you're coming back down to here. When you're finished, you can just drop those weights down and set them on the floor as you take your break. To adjust your difficulty with an overhead press, you're gonna wanna increase the weight that you're lifting by 2.5 to 5 pounds on each side. So since you've got a dumbbell on each side, you need to adjust both of those proportionately. If you find that it's pretty easy, then you can make a 5-pound jump and try that weight out. If you're getting close to your limit, 2.5 pounds is gonna be a little bit more in the ballpark that you're looking at to make things just a little bit more difficult. If you do find that it's hard for you to get all the way up into that nice position where you're pressing up overhead and keeping everything straight through the body here, what you can do is rather than keeping your arms rotated out this way, you can use a bit more of a neutral grip. So you can rotate your wrists in and bring your shoulders in just a tiny bit. So what you wanna do with this is over time, you wanna work until you can get back into that externally rotated shoulders all the way out grip that we were just looking at, so that you're pressing in this kind of a position. However, if you can't get there, don't worry about it. It's always a work in progress. And so you can start in a little bit more, and just over time, you wanna work on slowly bringing yourself back. And within a couple of training blocks, you should be in a nice position and able to press in a nice smooth plane. There's a few different alternatives to the overhead press. We can do it with dumbbells like we were just taking a look at. Some gyms will also have a shoulder press machine. So you actually have a machine with the handles in the right spot. It's gonna guide you through that movement. This one can be great if you're just trying to get that movement figured out and kind of get a feel for things. The only downside, especially for runners, is the machine guides you, so you don't have to use a lot of those stabilizer muscles. So you don't get quite as effective of a workout because the machine is doing a lot of that stabilization work for you. The other option that you do have if you don't have dumbbells is you can use a band like this, All you're gonna do with this one is pick a band that's an appropriate amount of resistance for you. All you're gonna do here is you can sit on it and you can take those handles and make sure that it's kind of adjusted so you've got equal tension on each side. And then from here, same thing, you can get back against that backrest, and then you can do your press up overhead this way. So just as effective, very, very similar movement. The only downside with the bands is that you don't have as fine control of how much weight you're lifting as you do if you're using a dumbbell. So it's great in a pinch, but ideally you want to use something where you can measure the weight that you're using just a little bit more effectively.